Hello, and welcome to episode 10 of the Nobody Important podcast. We made it to 10. I am Ramon, and
I am Felipe.
And welcome to, like I said, it's our 10th episode, which if you had asked us like a year ago, I never thought we would have gotten this far.
Dude, when you said 10, my eyes widened up, and I was like, it's 10? Clearly our schedule is not that great because of everything going on. But holy shit, 10 episodes.
Yeah, we made it to number 10, which on any normal weekly podcast, that would only take 2.5 months. On us, it took about 4. But we're going to get there. And yeah, so...
Blame it on the Rona.
Exactly. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, like always, please give us a follow on Instagram where we post pretty regularly as far as like just any cool new things that are going on with us. We also post little sneak previews for every episode. You can get a sneak preview on this week's Drink of the Week on there. But then also make sure you follow us on your favorite podcasting platforms. Everything from Anchor, PocketCasts, Spotify, YouTube. We are also on Apple Podcasts, which is where I personally listen to it, and I love being on there.
I'm with you there. I prefer using the Apple Podcast app to listen to anything, so
yeah,
I'm there.
It works out. I've had people tell me they listen to it on another platform. Like, hey, whatever you listen to, all listens are appreciated. But this week, for episode 10, decided to take a little bit of a twist on what our drink of the week would be. You know, everyone is very familiar with a Moscow Mule. Moscow Mule is, vodka, ginger beer, lime juice, and it's served in those really, really pretty, like, copper cups, and they look gorgeous. My problem is I just don't like vodka. So, drink of the week for me, at least this week, is the Kentucky Mule, which is the same ingredients, except instead of vodka, use bourbon.
Of course. I agree with you on the vodka thing. I think vodka is a very poor excuse for alcohol.
Yeah, it just doesn't do anything for me.
It has no flavor. I mean, have you seen those studies where people like compare like blind taste tests for like people who consider themselves vodka experts? And they can't tell the difference between one and the other. Yeah,
I haven't paid that much attention. Granted, I'm sure, like, for me and you being bourbon fans that we are, I'm sure, like, there's, like, so-and-so experts that have done similar tests and couldn't tell the difference between different bourbons. So, I mean, I guess I can't really talk shit about that. But, yeah, I don't know. Vodka just doesn't do it for me. Some people love it. My wife loves it in, like, cocktails and all of that. Like, vodka cranberry is, like, one of her favorite cocktails. But... for me, it doesn't do anything. I'm not a fan. So I was glad to have this little bit of an alternative where it's bourbon and it's fairly refreshing. However, I may have added a little bit too much ginger beer. I'm getting a lot of ginger.
That's my thing about Moscow, mules in general, where it's like, I'm not the biggest fan of ginger beer. I love ginger ale, but ginger beer has way too much ginger taste, and that throws me off.
Yeah, first couple sips of this, I'm like, ooh, my throat's burning a little bit. It was not Yeah, it was not how I expected the drink to go, but I'm like, you know what? I was picking up some groceries at Fry's yesterday and needed to pick up a couple things, and I had to walk through a section. I needed distilled water. Well, literally in the same aisle, they had like all the cocktail mixers. And so I saw the ginger beer and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. That's going to be perfect for the episode. And so I just picked it up just kind of on a whim. And now I've got 4 bottles of ginger beer that I need to figure out what to do with. They're tiny bottles. They're like 6-ounce bottles, but still.
Oh, are they the Fever Tree brand?
I honestly don't remember. They might be. I forget which one they are. They're like a purple packaging, but they're okay.
I think for the ginger beer they do a purple packaging. That's a good brand for pretty much everything. I really like their tonic water for gins and tonics.
Nice.
Fever Tree, very good. Mine was a daiquiri. The classic daiquiri, not that slushy ice shit you see in most bars now. No, the classic daiquiri is rum, lime juice, and sugar, or simple syrup in this case. You shake it all up, and then you just pour it over. Oh, actually, you serve it in a chilled glass. I like it over ice just because I don't always drink it all very, very fast. So I like it to be cold. And
Yeah.
I say it was because we had a bit of a show delay. So that daiquiri is gone. And now to make sure I had something to drink, I poured myself a little bit of rye whiskey.
There you go. What kind?
All I had for rye is the Bullet.
Okay, nice. That's still a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still don't want to open my bottle of Angel's Envy rye.
This shit's impossible to find. That's why.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm so scared of not finding it again. And the price I had to pay and the track it took to find its way to me, it's like, no, just leave that bottle for another day.
For a special occasion.
More than just an episode of Nobody Important.
Yeah, we'll get some people together or something. Maybe crack that bottle open once all this wine's down, and like that's our celebration bottle right there, because we're pretty much out of the 1942 from my wedding, so we can't use that for celebration.
It's funny that you mentioned that bottle. We were watching real estate videos the other day, and in the background you see it's like, oh, that's 1942 Don Julio, and then like they feel like, oh, these motherfuckers like tequila because there's a Clase Azul bottle right there.
Nice.
It's so fun to recognize that brown bottle just because it's very inconspicuous.
Yeah, it's definitely, it stands out, and you're like, oh, I know exactly what that is.
Like if you know what it is, you know.
Yeah. But it's funny because like I was going through making all of these different drinks, and in the process of like making all these different cocktails, I'm starting to make like a bunch of just non-cocktail, just regular drinks. And so in the process of making this, I've learned how to make a really damn good limeade just completely from scratch. And that's like my wife's, again, one of her favorite things to drink. And so literally every time I'm in the kitchen doing anything with lime, she's like, hey, make me a limeade. And so like I break out the limes, which I used for this, or which I used for the Kentucky Mule because it needed lime juice. Well, I had extra lime, so I used that to make her limeade. But then also making my own simple syrup. I finally used the bottle that I had bought, and so I finally made my own. But I ended up doing a twist, so I have two different bottles. I have a regular bottle of simple, and then my wife was craving vanilla iced coffee the other morning. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, let's buy one of those bottles of like Toroni or whatever that it's just like the vanilla pumps that pretty much everyone uses. And so she's looking them all up. They're like $15-$20 for a bottle. I'm like, I wonder if I can just make it. And so I looked up a recipe, like how to make vanilla simple syrup essentially, and I made it. And I think we've had that bottle for like a week, and it's over half empty right now because we've been literally having coffee like every morning with vanilla simple, and it's been freaking amazing.
That's very creative. I would never have thought to make vanilla simple syrup. I mean, you're using it for coffee, which I assume if you would make a coffee cocktail would come in handy.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the only other simple syrup the main one I always see is the ginger simple syrup.
That sounds
which
awful.
I think it's gonna come up eventually because I do want to make a penicillin one day.
Okay.
That seems to be like a real modern classic. Like it has a whole story, which when I make it, I want to get into that story. So we'll leave it for that episode. But yeah, that's the one I see is the ginger syrup.
Gotcha. Yeah. So for me, literally my rotation of syrups is regular simple, vanilla simple, and honey syrup. And those are basically my three that I will always keep a stock of now because they're just versatile as all hell. I mean, like I said, we're making iced coffee in the morning. Like I make my own cold brew, make my own coffee, and then I just use like the vanilla simple, and bam, like it's freaking perfect. So I totally went on a rant about, and not really a rant, but I just little monologue about simple syrups, but that's all right.
Remember how we found the recipe of the correct honey syrup recipe?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm even though it's the correct one,
you don't like it?
And no, I do like it. The issue is that because I refrigerate it, as you should, it becomes really way too syrupy and it's too thick. Where it's like I'm used to dumping it in the little oh, what the hell is it called?
Your little
My
jigger? Yeah.
Yeah, and it just pours easily. But now it's like, oh, it's still there, so it's like I'm missing honey on the drink. But no, like I really do love it with the Gold Rush. The issue is, I think I make too much, so like I have to refrigerate it. And if I were just to make it at the moment where it's still a little not or room temperature, where a bar would have it room temperature, making it daily, right?
Yeah.
You'd have better results with the not too syrupy, simple syrup or honey syrup.
Gotcha. Now that makes sense. I honestly, I still haven't made it. I've been meaning to, but I have not had any gold rushes lately. Like lately, I've been just having a variety of other things, and so I actually need to finish my honey syrup and make some new ones. We'll have to get on that.
That's
soon.
how you learn.
Yeah.
You can't keep making the same thing always. We have to expand ourselves and.
Yeah, I'm making new stuff all the time. Like I was debating for this episode to make like something with tequila or this, and I was like, yeah, I'll just make the Kentucky Mule and be happy.
Oh, okay. You just reminded me. Remember last time we discussed about that bar that makes the gigantic jugs of drinks?
Oh yeah.
And it's they dump a whole bottle of tequila.
Yeah.
So you had someone link you that video. I found the ones I was talking about, and I was like, oh, you know what? I have all those ingredients, and I decided to make it. I didn't have tequila, so I made the virgin version of it, I guess. And man, I made it for my whole family. My whole family liked it.
Nice. So what was in it?
It's salt, lime, orange juice, grapefruit juice, squirt, and the traditional recipe has the tequila. But,
nice.
No tequila. Man, it's because the saltiness, it's just like you're biting it. Like you're just, when you eat the fruit, you would add salt to it. So that's what it tastes like.
Gotcha.
And that's just so much more enjoyable. And it's like the salt makes you want more, which, that's what salt does. It makes you thirsty. Very refreshing. I kind of want a clay pot, which I may have somewhere. They just probably like close to 100 years old, so it feels a little bad to be drinking out of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably got a shit ton of lead in it, and maybe poison yourself a little.
You don't know what the fuck was going on in Mexico 100 years ago.
Exactly.
Other than the country being rebuilt after the revolution, but yeah, you don't trust those clay pots.
Yeah, no, I would not trust them at all. But also, I do need to, in this specific instance, essentially make like a public acknowledgement that my wife was right and I was wrong, because after our episode I looked up the proper way to make a paloma. According to liquor.com, it's actually with grapefruit soda.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't either. I looked it up and I was like, you gotta be shitting me.
It's just okay. In defense of that recipe, there are other cocktails that are just like, like the Cuba Libre, right? It's just rum, Coke, and lime.
Yeah.
So, do other cocktails use soda? Yeah. But man, it just, it hits different. It hits, that expression, it hits different when it's actual lime juice.
Yeah.
But man.
But it made me laugh though, because I looked it up and we actually, as part of our grocery run this week, we bought Squirt. And she's like, oh, I'll make you a paloma. And so that was what I finally had to admit to her. I was like, hey, you were right, because I looked up the recipe.
Oh, I can just imagine.
Oh, she loves being right. So it was one of those where I was like, I had to admit to her, and I'm like, yeah, I got to kind of publicly admit that now that she was 100% right, that the official recipe calls for a grapefruit soda. It's not fresh squeezed grapefruit. I've just been going to some bougie ass places that made it with fresh grapefruit. Oh, so
anything, it just makes me want a Squirt. That's a good soda.
It is. We have one of those giant, like, what is it, the 2-gallon bottles or 1 gallon, whatever those giant ones are, or the 1 liter bottles, or I don't fucking 2 liter. Yeah, whatever. Liquid measurements are weird. I don't know, but as we've talked enough about our drinks right now, I think we should dive into our honor and reports on the week, because there's quite a few things that have happened this week that are just kind of all over the place. And we also want to introduce a new segment afterwards. So we want to make sure we have some time for that. So you want to give yours a start?
Yeah, I came across a story for my honor of a person in Toronto who started a volunteer program called Zoomies. That name caught my attention when I was reading the headline because in the internet, it's like when dogs run around, they call them, the dog is doing Zoomies. Basically, her organization or volunteer group, um, people get in contact with them, and she has volunteers walk people's dogs because they may be in the age group where it's dangerous to go out, or they have physical limitations not allowing them to walk their dogs, and a dog needs its exercise. So I thought that was really kick-ass. It's like during a world where not everyone is super nice. There's volunteers out there walking people's dogs, so that the dog doesn't know what the fuck's going on in the world. So it's just like, why isn't my guy taking me out? So it's cool that there's volunteers out there walking people's dogs. Two stories in the article. It's like, well, one woman, her son is in quarantine somewhere else in the country, so she's stuck with a freaking Great Dane. And she's too small to walk a Great Dane. So there's a volunteer who comes by a few days a week and walks the Great Dane, which is like, yeah, that Great Dane cannot stay inside the house. That dude needs to run.
Yeah, he needs to move.
So I don't know. I like that. We both love animals so much. I might go back and try to see if there's somewhere for me to donate to that group because I love that.
That's awesome. So here's my thing. Something like that already exists as a paid service, though. I mean, you've got like WAG, you've got like Rover. There's a couple different like actual apps that you can do where you can hire like a dog walker. And so like this is cool to me because obviously it's free. It's a volunteer. It's for people to go out and just volunteer to do this, but like it's weird. Like I'm curious to see what'll happen with this and how many of the people that man, I am really a cynical person. Before I actually make this point, I'm actually realizing that as I'm saying this. So how many people that are volunteering from this then realize how much time they're dedicating to it and then decide to go on to one of those paid platforms instead because they're like, well, if I'm doing this anyway, like, why don't I get paid for it?
So let me cut you off before you continue. This person who started this organization is ahead of you. It would stop as soon as COVID starts to relieve itself. She's thought about it. It's like she doesn't want this to go forever. This is just a temporary thing. So if those people wish to pursue this same thing with getting paid for it, good for them.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. I was just like, again, welcome to my cynical mindset and my business mindset of like, okay, how can this be monetized? And like, wait, it's already monetized. And like, what's going to happen when you bring people's money back into this? Because that's just going to create a whole mess of issues. But
yep,
that's awesome. That is an awesome service. You said it's primarily in Toronto, or is it in other parts of the other parts of the world?
I think though the article only called out Toronto, I'm not sure if it's anywhere else, but I mean, no idea is ever original. A service probably like that exists where we live.
Gotcha. Okay, that would be interesting. Actually, I'd be curious to see. Kind of, I don't know how that would work here because you would need to supply like boots and stuff for the dogs too. Like we just can't go out and take our dogs for walks here. Actually, that's a funny story. My wife and I are trying to get her dog some boots. We're trying to get them fitted. And probably 95% of the time, that dog is the most chill dog on the face of the planet. You put some paper on the ground near her foot, near her paw to try to measure it, and she freaks the fuck out. Like, she refused to come in the room because there was paper on the ground in the doorway.
Oh my God, that's
like,
hilarious.
It just a single sheet of paper. We tried putting her paw in it. She like ran away from us. I'm like, I did not think this dog had that much in her had that much fight in her.
Oh,
I know,
funny.
poor dog. But
Yeah.
So my honor for the week, which could just as equally go to a report as well, and it's I'm kind of double dipping here, but it's not my actual report. But my honor, so there was a guy on, I don't know what fucking streaming platform he's on, whether it was TikTok or Instagram or whatever. There's literally no other way of describing this person other than this giant, obese, fat slob decided to go into a Costco without wearing a mask. If, for those of you that don't know, Costco has instituted a nationwide corporate policy that all people attending and shopping in their stores are required to wear a mask while they're inside the store. Corporate policy nationwide. Period. So this guy decides to go into a Costco and not wear a mask because he just decides that's his prerogative. Cool. It's also the business's prerogative to deny you service, which is exactly what one of the employees in that Costco did. They actually went up to the guy. They confronted him on camera. So like the shopper is recording the employee basically stopping him with a full cart of groceries and saying, you are required to wear a mask in order to shop here. And because you do not have one, and also because you're arguing with me about this, I'm actually taking your cart and you can leave our store. Fucking fantastic. Like that was absolutely amazing. Like kudos to that employee, and also kudos to Costco as a company for supporting and standing behind your employee for making an action like that. So many companies will not stand behind their employees when they are put in the public viewpoint like this. Mm-hmm. So kudos to that. That actually reminds me of another story that I saw this week. This isn't my report, but on the flip side, so the reason why this whole Costco thing and is supporting their employees is so important to me is on the flip side, there was a story just this week of two African-American men in, I believe it was in Georgia. They were FedEx drivers, and a homeowner, a white homeowner in Georgia, decided to call the police on these FedEx drivers because he said, and I quote, "They look like they were about to break in my home with my wife in it."
I saw the video, but like the 5 seconds, like where the driver, I guess, was yelling at the guy. They're dressed in uniforms.
Yeah, so they're in a FedEx truck and they're dressed in FedEx uniforms. This guy called the police on them with the FedEx drivers recording it. FedEx fired both drivers.
I assume it's because they yelled back and shit when they could have driven off, but
yeah, like regardless of the reason, fuck FedEx for not standing behind their staff and allowing some just racist hick to push them around and basically threaten their drivers when literally all they're doing is putting themselves at risk by constantly delivering to everyone. Like that. So again, Costco, you guys are awesome. FedEx, fuck you. But I'm going to go on like so many tangents this week. I can already feel it.
Dude, like I agree with you with the Costco one. It's like, well, first of all, how the hell did that guy get in without a mask? I mean, I'm thinking that he had a mask and then took it off to cause a scene.
Most likely.
Because when with the stores that have that type of policy, there is someone at the door saying, you can't come in. Mask only. Mask only. So for him to go in without a mask, like...
No, here, you want to... I'll make this even more of this guy wanting to create something out of nothing. Costco gives complimentary masks at their door for people that don't have them.
Oh, what the fuck? What a piece of shit.
Like, they will give you a mask if you don't have one. Granted, they'll look at you funny. They'll look at you like, why the fuck do you not have one? You know, this is our policy. But they will give you one if you don't have one.
What a scumbag, man. Like, yeah, okay. And, you know, people are going to leave the his side of the thing and everything. So, fine. That's great. Fantastic. Fuck you all. The FedEx one, I saw the thing where he's like, oh, no, I can't leave because I have to wait for the police. And I guess... I don't know what I would do in that situation. But man, fuck that guy for like they're literally in FedEx uniforms. They got the purple and the navy blue
FedEx uniforms
going into
big ass FedEx truck.
Right? They're trying to break into my home You racist piece of shit.
It's not even that they're trying to break into my home. It's that his report was they look like they would break into my home.
Oh, that's some new level racist shit.
Yeah, like it's not even like they tried. They looked like they would break into my home.
Oh, fuck that guy. Fuck him. Fuck him. I hope nothing but bad things happen to that man and nobody else.
Karma is a bitch with a 10-inch dildo.
Oh, shit. What the fuck? I've never heard that before. Okay. All right. Jesus. All right, let me get to my report because we're pretty into this podcast and we haven't gotten too much into it. But mine is the morons who think Bill Gates helping with the vaccine or any vaccine for COVID-19 having tracking chips into it, and they don't want the vaccine because they're scared of tracking chips being implanted into them. My response to those dumbasses: you walk around with a tracking device at all times. It's called your fucking cell phone.
Yep. And I guarantee you all have Facebook installed too.
Yep. And if you think Bill Gates is wasting money tracking you, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why the hell does he and Microsoft need to know where you are? You're giving them that information for free. Fucking Instagram listens to you at all times. I mean, I think we've all gone through that shit where we're talking about something and then it's the next Instagram ad we see. So if you think you're not being tracked... God damn, I forgot about that. Anyway, hold on. If you think you're not being tracked, oh my god, bro. I have news for you, stupid motherfuckers. You're being tracked 24/7.
Yeah.
How do you think Gmail figures out how much traffic there is? They look at your phone and how many phones are in that area. Yeah, fuck those Mexican ads. I still can't figure out why I was getting ads as if my location was in Tijuana. I don't know. I can't explain it. I even complained to Instagram and I never got a response. Only one day it was fixed.
That was the funniest shit when you would just randomly send us screenshots of like, dude, I got an ad from freaking Mexico City. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like restaurants in Tijuana and it's like and then I know that the KFC in Tijuana has like some special menu items that I want to try. I don't even want to go to KFC in the US, but I want to go to KFC in Mexico. Shit.
Those were some of the funniest moments.
Dude, that was annoying like 4 months. It wasn't even like a few weeks. No, it was months of me getting ads that had no purpose. I'm like, Instagram algorithm is fucked up right now.
Yeah, right. That one was all kinds of messed up. But so there's I have a report that should be very serious. Like in the grand scheme of things, it should be a very, very serious report. So for those of you that have been listening and most likely you know by now that we live in Arizona. And just this week, within a very short distance of where actually I currently live, probably about a 10-minute radius of where I live, there was a person that dubbed themselves the Westgate Shooter. Westgate is an outdoor mall in Glendale, Arizona. And this guy went with automatic rifle, with some sort of rifle. I don't know specifically what kind, but he went there and with the intention of causing harm. And he shot 3 people, fired I don't know how many shots, but he streamed the entire thing on Instagram Live and even like sent it to people. And so I saw the video footage. I saw all these things and I'm like, I watched everything that he did. I watched the entire like Instagram Live after it got reposted on like some other websites. One, the guy's a dumbass, but like I'm going to like extra levels of dumbass here. So he's in the video. He's talking about like the world is a fucked up place and people like, it's just all bad, yada, yada, yada. Just going on this stupid ass rant that no one cares. The very next like clip, the very next series of clips, the motherfucker puts on a mask. I'm like, dude, you're live streaming this People know who you are. Are you afraid of catching coronavirus while you go out and shoot? Is that why you put on a fucking mask?
It's like, the virus won't kill me, the police will.
Yeah, I'm like, so he puts on a mask, goes out and like shoots and does all of this stuff. And then I'm baffled at, this is, okay, I'm just going to put a disclaimer here. Fast forward the next like 30 seconds if you don't want a totally morbid viewpoint on the world. So he goes and starts like shooting people. And in one of the clips, he shows a woman laying on the ground in between two cars that he had already shot. The woman tells him, like, dude, you already got me. What do you want? As someone going to shoot up a public place, how do you not then go and execute that person?
Jesus Christ. That is not where I thought you were going to go with that. But, okay. In your defense, like, I had a similar thought, just not with her.
Yeah.
But so, I'll let you finish.
And so I'm like, okay, what, like, so at that point, what is your reasoning for doing all of this other than like just a cry for attention? If like you're, for lack of a better phrase, not following through? Like, I don't know the right wording for it. I'm just like, what the fuck? My wife and I actually, just before we got on to record this, we were watching his arraignment hearing to set his bond. And I could not stop laughing at the state attorney, the state district attorney, that was calling for him to get a $1 million cash bond. In one of the lines that he had said that this guy that shot up the place is very, he has very like anger issues, but he is a self-proclaimed incel.
Oh.
I lost it. I could not stop laughing. For those of you who don't know what an incel is, it is short for involuntarily celibate. Basically, it's a guy that can't get laid. Mm-hmm. And he is very mad at the world for it. He is very mad at women for it. And he thinks all women are just like terrible and like your typical like nice guy meme that thinks like women deserve.
Because he's nice.
Yeah, like thinks he deserves everything because he's nice. That's an incel. And so that's what this guy was.
Okay. First of all, incel, like, dude. Come on. That's the type of guy who are writing in the comments of these hot Instagram models who have to post their boyfriends. And it's like, oh, why is she with him? He's not even like, I could treat her so much better. She should be with me. I'm like, dude, chill the fuck out. You couldn't even talk to that woman if she was in front of you. To defend your morbid thought, I had a similar thought, just not with that clip. When you see the footage of him shooting, I mean, that entryway, you know how it's all open, right? Like you're just walking through the middle with the stores on the side, and it's just shooting randomly. And I'm like, man, I didn't count the amount of shots, but he came close to emptying his clip if he didn't empty it. Only 2 people were shot.
3.
That dude's a terrible shot.
3 people.
How the fuck you have an 3? Okay. How the hell do you have an open area and only 3 people get shot? What a terrible shot! Like, what a piece of like.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So like again, it's a horrific event, and you know I hope and I sincerely hope that everyone that is involved in this comes out of this okay, both physically and emotionally, mentally, like. Because this is a horrific experience to go through, and I hope no one ever has to go through it. But the guy basically created a meme out of himself, like for just being just a total joke. Like he wanted to create this like whole terror and all this. As weird as it sounds, like he didn't even get charged with like an act of terrorism. That's like that's not even one of the crimes or one of the charges that was brought against him.
I think that typically happens, right, with domestic shooters. But like, god damn it, I hope what he deserves for causing people that terror is not something the criminal justice system can give him. I hope he gets some prison justice And I hope listeners know what I mean.
Yeah, he will. And honestly, dude, just get like some fucking psychiatric help too. Like as horrible as it sounds, like, you know, we very much are a punitive society where we just want to punish people for shit that they do wrong. But like seriously, I hope you get some help. Like, because that's all kinds of fucked up. And then I had a realization moment myself too. So for those of you that are you know, regular listeners, you know, it was like a couple weeks ago or a couple episodes ago where I talked about I had a really, really bad accident on a one wheel. Well, I had this realization. I texted Felipe this the night that this incident happened. Is that so? This incident happened around 7:30 at night, just a couple days ago. Before my accident on the one wheel, I was actually riding it through Westgate. So I would take it, you know, the 5-10 miles from my house up to Westgate and then back around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Like pretty regular, like several times a week. And it's legitimately possible, had I not had that accident, I still would have been out taking it and I could have been in that area during all of this happening. And so, like, that's chilling to me.
That's one of those things where whether you believe in a higher power or not, it's like you see the chain, what is it, not the chain of effects? No.
Chain of events. Yeah.
Chain of events where it's like this led to this, led to this, led to this. And it's just like, yeah, that's true. If you didn't fuck yourself up riding that one wheel, I like saying it that way.
You're right.
The chance of you being out there with our friend riding behind you and during that time, especially right now when it's like in the evenings, it's still pretty nice out. It's not a hell. Yeah, you could have been out there and you could have been in the middle of that and just like, where the fuck do we do?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a crazy thought to have to go think back of. And I was like, well, we're thankful Ramon had that accident.
Yeah. I was like, my body, you know, is just recovering. Like all my scars and everything have just gone away. And like, but it was crazy to think about that in it, like with all of this craziness happening of like, man, if it wasn't for that happening, then this could have been a whole lot worse just for me personally and for my family, because like obviously something would happen to me that would have been terrifying. But, you know, thankfully I was not involved, but I seriously feel for the people that were involved, and I truly do hope everyone gets better, both physically, emotionally. They get the help that they need, they get the support that they need, because that's something that no one should ever have to go through.
Agreed.
In addition to something, you know, taking this on to our new segment, you know, before we run out of too much time, there's a segment that we did want to start this week, and something we wanted to do, maybe not every week, but at least every couple of weeks, where it's basically news that didn't quite make the news. Things that neither one of us are very avid news watchers or readers, but generally speaking, there's a lot of stories that should get more news coverage that don't. They may only get one tiny little bit of coverage, and they may only have, you know, when they should get a lot more. And so Felipe had a fantastic story involving some stuff going on just back east that he wanted to share for this, and then I have one as well. So go ahead.
Oh, you're talking about the New York man?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think, well, either you or someone in the group linked this article, so I wanted to share it. Yeah, this guy was discovered that the red lights, ticket lights, I forgot the phrase for them.
Red light cameras?
The red light cameras go off during the yellow light in specific intersections. So he did what any good American should do, and I think he broke it.
He vandalized the shit out of them. He spray painted them originally, I think.
I love it even more now. He did that, and then I think he was discovered for doing it. He was arrested, and then when he was released, he did it again. And
the same day.
Yep. like as soon as getting out, that's what he went to go do, is do it again. And because he discovered that this was going on, and then there were reports that he was being followed, that his house was being put under surveillance, that his neighbors were also like, yeah, that car has been there for a while. It's like he's being watched by who the hell knows who. Probably, people higher power in the government. I think there was even the story where the local police were even on his side, because even one of the sheriff's deputies was trying to post bail for him because he believed in his cause.
Yeah.
That to me, what he did is, I think that what that guy's doing is, vigilante, and he's breaking crimes, but that guy's a hero. I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion with most people. I think he's more of a hero than a lot of our military, because I think, I personally think to be a hero, you have to do something heroic, not just go and do something, right? That's like, because in every branch of the military, there's always something more heroic that someone is doing, not just going and being a soldier. Not something. But anyways, discussion for a different day. I think that guy's.
I'm letting you sink on that one.
I don't give a shit. I don't care how popular that opinion is. I truly do believe that in order to be a hero, you have to do something heroic, and just serving in the military doesn't make you a hero in my eyes. You have to do something to deserve being called a hero.
Valid. Okay.
And yeah, to me, that guy is a hero because he's fighting something way bigger than himself, way bigger than all of us.
So here's where your story gets even crazier, though.
Okay.
You had mentioned that there was a car that his neighbors had said was following him and was tracking him. Mm-hmm. That same car was involved in a collision with him where they T-boned him.
Oh, they're trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That same car was involved in a collision with him when they T-boned him. And the state, sheriff or whatever was checking on that specific intersection that he was really investigating. He was really working on, or that he was vandalizing. And he found that specific intersection, the yellow light only lasted 3 seconds as opposed to every other intersection lasting 5.
See, that's some criminal shit. Man, I forgot that part where they tried to kill him. Can you imagine how much money they're making off that intersection, that they're willing to kill someone for discovering that scheme?
Yeah, that goes into so many levels of just freaking conspiracy. It takes me back to our sophomore year of high school with our history teacher and all his conspiracy theories, man.
Oh, I mean, I was gonna say his first name, but now it's even too soon to recognize that's a unique first name. Yeah, that dude was something. He was cool though.
Yeah. But yeah, that whole story is just a mind fuck. It's fascinating, but yeah, it is unreal just to see all the different levels that story has, and yeah, it's just nutty.
My mind went on a tangent there where you mentioned that teacher, and I was like, that dude had kids when we were there. It's like, yo, his kids are probably our age when we were listening to his.
Oh yeah.
I was like, man, that just made me feel old. His kids are probably in high school by now. Holy shit.
I know, right? But
all right,
where's
yours?
So my other one was it was a series. It was a news story coming out of Louisville, and basically what happened was plainclothes police officers. So they weren't in uniform. In the middle of the night, did a no-knock warrant on someone's house. No-knock warrant basically means they break the door open without alerting who they are. They come in guns drawn, and they're not wearing any police identification, nothing. It looks like a home invasion. They're saying they're once they get in and they have their guns drawn, they probably tell you hey, we're police, but it looks like a home invasion because they're in plain clothes.
I've been watching a bunch of cop videos, and yeah, even the SWAT team goes and does a raid to pull somebody out, they do their shit, knock everything down, and then they go in, they go Dallas Police Department or Dallas SWAT, get down. So continue.
Yeah. And so in the middle of the night, someone broke into this couple's home. I don't remember if they were married. I think it was boyfriend, girlfriend. But the man in that relationship, he carried a weapon. And so, he has guys breaking into his house unidentified. He pulled his gun. He started firing. And he started firing at the officers that were breaking into his home. The officers returned fire and killed his girlfriend. His girlfriend was a local EMT that worked in 2 different hospitals during this time. Like, she wasn't just doing one, she was doing double shifts on a regular basis in 2 different hospitals. Not only did they do a no-knock warrant on this house, it was the wrong house. The person they were looking for and the person who's, like, the address that they were looking for, that person was already in police custody.
Oh! I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so much. Oh, that incompetence in the police department.
So they were already in police custody, and they did a no-knock on this person's house, killed this guy's girlfriend, and because he returned fire, they charged him with a crime against, like, I forget what it was, but they actually arrested the guy and charged him with the crime of, like, assaulting a police officer, like firing your weapon on a police officer, while he got to see his girlfriend laying there dead.
Fucking, oh my fucking god! It's like you try to think of it from the other side, right? Where you're like, not all police are bad, but in the stories, well, like last week, if it bleeds, it leads, right? We discussed that. It's like the stories that get attention is police incompetence. But dude, how the fuck are you going to charge him when you broke into his house?
Yeah. The police, the Louisville Police Department has then come out recently, just a couple days ago, and says that they are going to change their policies regarding, plain clothes and regarding, like, no-knock warrants, whatever. Not a single mention that their officers were wrong. Not a single mention that this was a total fuck up and that every single person involved should be fired, should be suspended, should be whatever. But no, they decided to change policies, and I'm going to look it up right now and look up what the actual story was while I think about it. It says, we'll change its search warrant policy and officers will be required to wear body cameras in more situations. That's it. That's what they're changing their policy to.
That's fantastic, because that fixes your whole issue. How about you fucking check the address before you barge into someone's home? Because, this happened a few months ago where some fucking officer I think it was in Texas, where she walked in and she thought someone broke into her place and she shot him dead. The dude was on the couch eating ice cream in his own apartment, and she was on the wrong floor of her building. And I think they were, like, trying to smear him. It's like, well, he had marijuana in this place. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? He was murdered when she went into his house.
Yeah, and she was drunk, she was she was off duty and drunk and all of these other things. And so yeah, those are a couple stories that were just like, we saw them throughout the week, but they're stories that, yes, they are getting some coverage. They are getting some, news presence, but nowhere near the level that should be for this, because especially like this one, out of complete and utter negligence, a woman was killed in her own bed that police had no right being in that home. It was the wrong house. Mm-hmm. Like, they already had the person in custody that they were looking for.
This is starting a new theme, because last week we discussed about the cop with the good old boys walking into that high school kid's house without a warrant and just thinking it was him, and almost killing him.
There are not good stories for law enforcement lately. It has been.
I feel like my story for next week has to be like one where like local police did something good.
Dude, yeah, seriously, like my freaking honor needs to be like those police officers that go to like public basketball courts and play basketball with the people playing there, like, something, because we can't be this negative all the time.
That man, we're so negative with the world, with our outlook of the world on this stupid show sometimes. Yeah. Holy shit, yeah, we are.
Yeah, this one's a little dark. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I definitely, in hindsight, I'm realizing that I should probably put some disclaimers either like at the beginning of the episode or in our descriptions of like, hey, this episode's kind of offensive. You should probably reconsider listening.
I gotta tell you something after the show of an idea I was having. I want to continue this morbid outlook on the world because another thing we constantly talk about is sports leagues, even though Ramon's not the biggest sports fan in the world. Did you see the story of the NFL voting this week on a resolution that if a team hires either a head coach or a general manager of color, they have the opportunity to improve their draft status?
So here's my thing. I didn't want to look into this and click into this. I want to know how.
One of the suggestions I saw is like they get another third round pick. I'm not sure if you actually can change your draft status because I just don't think you can. I think the other teams would push back so hard.
Yeah, I'm like, how does this work? How does this get passed? How does this get pushed through? But then how does this go into execution? Because I'm trying to think of all the possible ways that this can happen. And I'm just more like, I don't really care. Like, whatever they decide to do policy-wise, that's their own business. I have no opinion on that. I want to know how, like, mechanically this works. How does this work in their system?
I mean, right now they have the Rooney Rule, which is whether for these two positions, coach or GM, you have to interview someone of color. So you'll see pity interviews just so they can get through the rule. Yeah. For this, I don't know how you do it, dude. Like I said, I think you award them another third round pick where it's like it can't be good, or it's like it's nothing too bad. It's like right in the middle of the draft. I think this is something stupid. Because,
how many teams are in the NFL? Like 30?
32.
32. Okay. So you add a third round pick. Does this mean so say for example, 32 teams, 16 of them now have someone of color as a coach or a GM. Does that now mean the third round has 48 picks because you just add that? Or does it mean that someone that potentially traded for a third round spot can potentially lose that third round spot and then have it pushed back to the fourth round? Like, what does that mean?
I think your first thing is like there'd be 48 picks, but then it's like I get so it goes to your thing. How does it work? Because if you have 48 picks in the third round, it's like you're drafting fourth round talent in the third round because there's less players going around. If anything, it just gives you 2 picks in that round.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, and the thing that people don't think about in like draft order, things like that, is in most professional sports leagues, the round that you're drafted in determines the cap for the salary that you're able to get at the beginning of your career.
Mm-hmm. That is
and
very
so, true. Just literally, I don't know what the numbers are, but just kind of throwing it out there of like, a third round pick could potentially get a cap of like $1.5 million a season, where a fourth round pick could get a cap of maybe $800,000. And
that can happen.
And so like what does that look like? Again, there's so many logistical things in this that I'm like, I just want to know how it works more than, like I said, I don't give 2 shits about the policy. Like, if that's what they decide they want to do, good for them. Like, that's their own business. I want to know logistically how this works in a way that doesn't basically penalize people. Because if you start penalizing people for this, then I feel like that defeats the purpose.
Mm-hmm. very good points. I didn't really thought about it that far. Mine was like, why not just give the job to the best person available? It doesn't matter what race they are.
Yeah. So,
because ultimately, if a team, if a team wants to win, you give it to the guy you think is going to do the best at the job. It doesn't matter what fucking race they are. I don't understand. The other thing, I don't understand why no other sport deals with this type of shit. Right? Where I wonder why the NFL tries so hard to put people of color in positions of power, to where, basketball doesn't really try, and there's plenty of black head coaches.
Honestly, I don't know. I that's not my level of expertise. I don't pretend to be extremely knowledgeable in any of that stuff. So I'm just like, whatever. I just don't think about it, and I'm just like, whatever. Figure out a way to make it work. That's all I fucking care about. But I don't know. It's definitely something to look into, and I'm definitely really curious on it.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
just to see how they do it. If it passes, I don't think it passes. I don't know. I just don't think you can do it just because of the issues you brought up.
Yeah, but anyways, I think that is going to be a wrap for us this week. We're probably, if I wasn't keeping track, I forgot to set my timer at the start of the episode, but I think we're hovering right around an hour now. So want to thank you guys for listening. Like always, this episode was episode 10, the extremely morbid episode, and we made it to 10 again. We're thinking about episode titles. That might be our title, the extremely morbid episode. But thank you guys again for watching. Again, please give us a follow on Instagram at Nobody Important Podcast. Subscribe to us on any of your favorite podcast listening platforms, whether it's Anchor, PocketCasts, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, any of the sort. If you ever have topics you want to send in to us to talk about for a little bit, please let us know as well. Anything you want to add?
Nope.
Cool.
Nothing this week.
Cool. Well, then that was episode 10 of the Nobody Important Podcast. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Later.